Happy day, YouTube. My name is John, and this is my channel, The Intermancer. If you've been following along, then you know that last episode was a pretty exciting milestone for me. I got organisms being represented with pretty JSON, both into and out of the server from endpoints. That was exciting. However, my last coding session also saw me do something that I was really trying to avoid, and I used the tab autocomplete. As you know, I've been trying to develop my muscles in using AI for my coding by following a context-driven approach. And as soon as I used tab that very first time, I felt myself getting, well, besides the fact that I was not following my own principles, I could feel myself losing that learning opportunity. So something I did, which is weird because I just saw it trying to autocomplete, I went over here and I tried to turn off autocomplete. Let's see if I didn't do it correctly. Autocomplete. Code complete. Completions enabled. No. See, this is disabled. For Python, okay. For SQL, okay. But I really didn't want it for Java. Okay. Well, I don't know why I was just making a suggestion there in Gene. I will try not to follow its suggestions. I'm really going to try to ignore autocomplete because that is one of the main goals of this channel. Also, I wanted to point out that here in the Gene class, when I was wrestling with how to include type information in the input and output of organisms, the serialization and deserialization, it originally had name, and I moved it over to class. The thing is, neither the Copilot from GitHub nor Claude made the suggestion for me to use class. Now, I know class makes the name longer, but I really need it to be class because I want this system to be extensible. And so I don't want to have to know, or I don't want to have to come back to the Gene class every time I create a new gene, which using name, I had a bunch of additional, I had a longer annotation here that had every subclass mentioned. That wasn't going to work out long term. But neither of the AIs that I've been using made the suggestion that suggested what I eventually had to use. Maybe that's a problem with me learning how to prompt appropriately. That certainly may be the case. And I'm learning a lot about my own process when I edit these videos. So hopefully next time I face a similar hurdle, I'll figure out how to make the prompts appropriately. Speaking of prompting, as I've said many times, one of the things that I'm doing here, one of the main purposes of this entire channel, is so that I can learn how to use AI appropriately. Anyone who's intelligent sees one of these LLMs working can immediately appreciate some of the value. Like any skill, however, to fully realize the value of this technology, one must practice. And I've realized that me practicing here has really been having an impact on how I use these LLMs in general. At work recently, some colleagues and I were working on a strategy document. And all of the gentlemen that I was working with at the time, I consider them all very intelligent. I have a lot of respect for them. But it was immediately apparent that my work here on this channel had dramatically informed me on how to effectively use LLMs. And it's all about context management. That being said, let's look at some of the code, some of the context stuff that we've been doing. First off, I wanted to pop over here to TechStack and I wanted to point out that I have pretty JSON mentioned twice in this context document. That is redundant, and I'm okay with it. I don't think it's important for all redundancies to be removed from the context documents. I do think it's important to clean up any inconsistencies between and within the context documents. Last time, I spent some time cleaning up some inconsistencies, and going forward, any inconsistencies in my context documents that I find, I'll be sure to clean up. But I'm not always going to clean up redundancies because that simply emphasizes behavior that I want to be sure I get later. One of the things I have tried to emphasize in this exercise was applying my human perspective and my coding experience to the code that the LLM generates for me. But it is very much a back and forth between me and the LLM, just like it's always a back and forth between any engineer and the code that the engineer is working with. So one of the things I realized is that over here in this organism repository factory, that this whole thing I'd rather not do, because as you can see in my controllers, well, those are annotated with controller, but experiment Cedar. Experiment has been annotated with component. I think Cedar has also been, now that's a basic Cedar has been annotated with component. And I've realized that I like that. It's more clean than using this factory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this class and just annotate the in-memory organism repository with component. But again, I'm going to do that with a context-first approach. So I will first, before I do that, I want to change the name of this organism domain objects. In one of my recent videos, I realized that I'd been inconsistent with my use of the term objects and classes. And so I need this to just be organic classes.md. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this organic classes. Let's see what all changes. Okay. And now I'm going to push these changes up to the repo. Oh, actually, I can wait for a little bit, because next, for me to get where I'm going there, what I need to do is edit organic classes, and all of this stuff about the in-memory organism repository, I can get rid of organism repository factory. And in-memory organism repository can be annotated with @component so that it is automatically instantiated and wired in when the server starts. Let's see, I want to put, talk out loud, John, talk out loud. And I need to be able to remember to put the backtick around @component so that things are all formatted nice and pretty. Save that. Now this, all these changes, I will push up. Renamed organism domain objects md to organic classes .md cleaned up gene.java got rid of the description of organism repository factory.md.java and updated in memory organism repository so that it is auto-wired. Commit and push this. Excellent. Now go back over to Claude, go to projects, and open a new one here. We're going to change this, delete selected, because this is all JSON in and out branch, and now I am using a different branch. So let's go to code, and it's got two branches. I will go to breed and mutate, which is where we're heading now. Get the URL for that. Come over here, delete selected, and add to the project, GitHub. Give it a link. Now, I wanted to do this after I pushed up those other changes because I wanted the new genetic context file to show up in here. See, organic classes, and I've noticed that it's kind of hard to update the GitHub stuff in the project file after I've already defined it. So that's why I wanted to push everything up first. And then source, all the source, and add files. Let that go, let that go. I have updated organic classes .md. Analyze the code to confirm if there are any, you know what, delete, I'm just going to delete the thing. I don't need to ask it. Rewrite in memory organism repository .java so that it is consistent with organic classes. I'm expecting that it's just going to add that component annotation. Let's see what it actually does. And it needs to be annotated with add component. Perfect. Collectors, what's that? Key set get all. Oh, look at this, collectors. This is very new. Looking at the one I have right now, in memory, organism repository. Oh no, it has collectors in there. Look at this. That's a dangerous thing. It's a good thing, but it's also a dangerous thing. I've never used these collectors. I don't remember noticing that before, although I probably did on video because that kind of thing happens to me all the time. But I've never used that, and I don't remember it being in this code, and there it is, so it's a new thing, and I'm trying to get away from letting the code make too many changes for me without me being aware of them. So anyway, that's there. Collectors, delete organism, save organism, get organism by ID, and it has the component. Excellent. All of that is there. Ooh, while I'm here, I also want to make sure that all of the organisms in a repo have a unique ID. Let's go ahead and add that right now before I take the class. Organic classes, methods, organism repository in memory, methods, interface. Get all organisms, delete, save organism, save returns the organism that was saved. Okay, that describes the expected behavior, returns or updates. Since save organism should have the appropriate behavior, save organism dot put get ID. Ah, look at that. Look at that. This does put with that key. So if a new organism with the same key comes in, it's just going to overwrite. So I think we're good. I think we're good. Copy this and go in here. Do that. Save it and delete this. Delete. Move to trash. Leave that to make sure it's here. Good. Also, do we need to do anything for tests? Okay, I think I'm good then. I didn't have a test for the factory. I wonder if I told it not to do a test for the factory. I don't remember. Anyway, now I can confirm the build real quick. Tasks, build. Okay. Add everything here and push up. Updated in memory organism repository as provided by Claude. Delete organism repository factory.java. Commit and push. Excellent. A little bit of housekeeping. It is now time to start defining breeding and mutation behavior. And I might be a little bit ambitious putting both of these in a single branch because these are kind of big. Each of them is kind of big, but we'll see. We'll start with breeding, and this will probably take us to the end of this video. Actually, I'm looking at the time. This is a good place to cut this video. This one will be a little bit short, but it'll set up for the next one where I can jump right into defining organism breeding behavior. Thank you for your time.